Now at 11 o'clock, cold case cracked. Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Sterling.
And I'm Suzanne Jehan. Major new developments in a case we've been tracking for more than 17 years.
It was a vicious, cowardly act.
Struck me in the forehead right here.
Notice the buckshot marks on the refrigerator door.
An 8-year-old.
She was standing in the open door of the refrigerator when she was shot in the head.
Lativia Johnson just wanted a glass of milk.
And I want this shooter very badly.
I know someone out there knows something.
Tonight, these two men are behind bars accused of killing young Lativia Johnson back in 1993.
Tonight at 6, you heard 24-hour News 8 Steve Kelso talk to Lativia's mother live as she broke down, reacting to the news of a break in her daughter's murder case. Tonight, Steve has more of that emotional interview. You'll hear that in just minutes.
First, though, we want to take you live to the crime scene itself, where the killing happened 17 years ago on the southwest side of Grand Rapids. 24-hour News 8's Leon Hendricks is learning some new information about the suspects at the center of this case. Leon?
Brian and Suzanne, good evening. As soon as we got word about the case, we threw at it all of our resources to try and find out more about who these men are. Tonight, we know that this case went back to the Grand Rapids Police Department's front burner in the fall, and now they have arrested two men in connection to the case. They traveled to two different states to do that, the men that they say are responsible for those murders. We've been talking to jails in both of the states where the arrests happened and just got our hands on both of the men's mugshots. Robert Lee Gaines and Robert Lee Brown have been arrested. Brown is being held right now in Nebraska, and Gaines is being held in Illinois. Both of these suspects have criminal histories, but nothing violent. We'll get back to that in a moment, but tonight we know that both of them are locked up and waiting to be extradited to Michigan. Now, this is what we know about what happened according to police. It all started, we're told, the night before the murders at a party store, the Hall Street party store down the street. That's where we're told Robert Brown was robbed in the parking lot there at the Hall Street party store. Our sources say that Brown thought that the person that robbed him lived across the street. I want to take you now to the home where that little girl lived. That's the green home over there. That's where police say he thought the suspect involved in his situation lived. The allegation is the next night that Brown shot at the home in retaliation and ended up hitting the victim in this case, Lativia Johnson. We're told there was never evidence that the person who robbed him ever lived in that home. The other suspect, Robert Gaines, investigators claims was with Brown at the time of the shooting. He was living with his father in Illinois and was arrested at his home. We spoke with his father, Robert Gaines Sr., over the phone tonight.
Officer came here and was talking about, Robert Gaines, and they had put handcuffs and stuff on him, and so I was really surprised. I said, for what? And they said, he was involved in the shooting. And I said, no, that couldn't have been Robert. It got to be somebody else they're talking about.
Now, in the past, Gaines was charged with retail fraud, second degree, and felony larceny in a building. He served jail time and paid fines in that case. Also in the past, Brown has been charged with felony uttering and publishing. That was back in 1995. He served 2 years of probation. The next step, of course, is getting these two men back to Michigan to face those charges. We're told in Gaines' situation that he actually may have already waived his extradition hearing. They, of course, both have a chance to fight coming back here. And again, Gaines, we're told, already may have waived that opportunity. We're, of course, waiting to see what happens in their cases. We'll be following out every step of the way. Reporting live in Grand Rapids, Leon Hendricks, 24-hour News 8.
Thank you, Leon. We turn now to 24-hour News 8 Steve Kelso. He spoke with Lativia Johnson's family tonight. Steve?
Susie, it was certainly an emotional 3 hours that photojournalist Evan Leonard and I spent inside the Johnson house this evening. Rochelle Johnson, Lativia's mom, says that for the first 3 years, she couldn't even talk about the murder. But tonight, after nearly 2 decades, she says she's certain that her little angel can finally rest.
It was like, it was so shocking. I just can't describe how it was, but I feel good today.
After nearly 18 years of grief, of heartache, of longing for and missing her murdered daughter, Lativia, Rochelle Johnson has some peace tonight. Like a lot of moms, she's kept every newspaper clipping, every photo, and every keepsake that she could. But unlike most moms, these cherished and time-worn trinkets include the business cards of every police detective who had worked over the years to solve her daughter's murder, including this one, now yellowed with age.
He came to me. He said, I have 4 names for you.
It was given to her by Ken Koistra, a former Grand Rapids Police Officer of the Year. Koistra had worked over 200 homicides in his 3-decade career. Unfortunately, he would die before he would ever see this case get to a courtroom. But he was so close.
I have always brought these names up.
The names on the card, Roberto Brown and Robert Gaines. Arrested this week, Robert Lee Brown and Robert Lee Gaines II.
The 2 names that we had all the longest, all this time.
2 men who will now be charged with the murder of a little girl who just wanted some milk to go with fresh-baked cookies. If Rochelle could only get a few minutes with them.
They need to hear what me and my family went through. They took us from our home. They took my daughter. They took their sister, their niece, auntie, from my kids.
The next steps won't be easy for Johnson. The 2 suspects will be brought back for trial before she'll know true justice. But Rochelle Johnson says she feels now like she can get back to the most important task in her life.
And now, me and my family can get back together as a family like we was. Go on with the holidays. I shut holidays down, birthdays down. It's never the same.
Now, tomorrow afternoon, the Johnson family is planning to release balloons in Lativia's honor to celebrate. It's something they've been doing for years. Rochelle Johnson says it's how they send messages to heaven to Lativia. Tomorrow's message, sleep. We're live in the newsroom. Steve Kelso, 24-hour News 8.
Steve, thank you. The Grand Rapids Police Department will hold a news conference tomorrow at 9 to discuss the break in the case. We'll be there in the morning. We'll stream it live for you at woodtv.com.